Hello and welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I'm your host, Gabe Peterson, and this is the place investors go to gain actionable advice, learn about current market trends, and hear war stories from other professional investors out there in the field today. Before we get started, I have two quick housekeeping items for you. First, if you like this episode, we would very much appreciate a like, subscribe, and share. It is the best way to support the show and keep it running far into the future. Second, if you're a new investor looking to get started in real estate or an experienced investor looking to take your investing to the next level, I've created an ebook just for you that will cover how to find deals that are actually deals, how to finance those deals with little to no money down, and how to exit those deals for maximum value. On top of that, I throw in an insane amount of free bonuses that you'll have access to once you buy the ebook. All I charge is our admin costs to keep this show running. So if you're serious about real estate investing and want to create both active and passive income as an investor, head on over to the website at therealestateinvestingclub.com and click on the button that says get the ebook in the upper right-hand corner to grab yourself a copy. With that said, let's dive right in. Today we have a very special guest with us, ready to drop some investor knowledge on you. So buckle up, grab your pen and paper, and enjoy the ride. All right, we are back with another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. Today we have Brandon Bateman with us. Brandon is from the Bateman Collective, the founder of the Bateman Collective, and they do digital marketing, which is a super useful tool in any investor's tool belt. So I'm super excited to have Brandon here. Brandon, thanks for hopping on the show.
Yeah, thank you, Gabe. Excited to be here as well.
Absolutely. And Brandon is he's calling us from a closet because his office is too loud. So people are on YouTube watching that. That's why Brandon is in a dark room.
Actually, this is a sophisticated closet, Gabe. It's called a phone booth.
Ooh,
we've got this this insulation material. It's fancy, but yeah, it's not aesthetically appealing, unfortunately.
It's all good.
We
do not judge here on the Investing Club. So Brandon, I told you before we hopped on, we like to start with stories. We like to hear how people kind of got into where they're at. And so why don't you take us through yours? How'd you get started in real estate, in marketing?
Yeah, good question. And I'm sort of in both in a weird way. So I know I'm a wacko in the world of people who come on your podcast because of that. But the story goes back to I started with marketing. So the story goes back to when I was in college. I was a sophomore in college. I was so eager to learn about digital marketing. I just wanted to take over the digital marketing world and just wanted to find opportunities to help companies. And I basically decided that I was just going to do a bunch of marketing work for companies for free. So I just cold emailed a whole bunch of companies in my local area and just said, please just let me do some marketing work for you. That's all I want to do. I don't care what you want me to do. I don't care how much you pay me. If you pay me, just let me do it. So I did a lot of that and got a couple clients. Turns out one of those clients introduced me to someone else, and that person introduced me to someone else. At this point, I was actually charging money for what I did. But that's good. That person introduced me to someone else, and that person was if you know him, Cody Hoffheim, who is he co-founded Wholesaling Inc., which was one of the bigger coaching companies in the wholesaling side of real estate. Now, he didn't actually introduce me to Cody. He introduced me to someone on his team. I didn't meet Cody until 2 years later. But I talked to this person from his team that basically told me we're this company that buys houses for cash. And I was like, that's weird. You're not selling something, you're buying something. That's what kind of wacky company is this? Had never heard of it in my life. Off-market properties and cash deals and stuff like that. So yeah, they said that's what they do. They said they had worked with a whole bunch of digital marketing companies in that industry and just hadn't had success with anything. And they liked that I was driven. They liked that I was excited about making this work. And they just said, well, let's try to make something happen here. Can you work on this and can you make it happen? So we went. So I dove in and just spent so much time learning and testing and a whole bunch of stuff like that. And the first year, we about doubled their revenue from online channels while keeping the ad spend exactly the same. The next year, we 3x'd their revenue from online channels, keeping the ad spend exactly the same. The following year, we doubled their revenue while doubling their ad spend. So we maintained a return on investment, scaled it up until eventually last year they did over 1.5 million in basically wholesale assignment fees from digital marketing here in Utah. Wow. It's been very successful for them. At the same time, I started working with companies in a whole bunch of different places. I did some work outside of real estate, inside real estate, all kinds of stuff. Overall, we've kind of grown this company. We've helped companies spend over $100 million on ads at this point through various channels, and we found that real estate was a great place for our business to operate. We found good success there, and so now we're in over 80 different markets across the United States, Canada, and Australia, doing this kind of marketing work to find motivated sellers. And that's kind of what our clients trust us on, and that's what we help them to be successful with.
Cool, man. I love it. I like that you started out, your story starts out, you're coming out of college and you don't have, a portfolio that you can show people. So you're just like, fuck it, I will give my services away. Just let me work for you. Come on. That is a great way to get experience. So that's cool that you started out that way. So awesome. You guys you're working mostly with wholesalers. It sounds like that's kind of your bread and butter is generating motivated sellers for wholesalers.
Yeah. And flippers, I'd say probably half and half.
Flippers and wholesalers.
But yeah, if they're flippers, they go direct to seller. So
yep.
Yeah, it's just a lot of our clients. Most of our clients, probably 90% do at least both of those exit strategies. And then some only do one or the other. But yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and that is, so many people on this podcast have come on, and that's kind of what they say is that, and I agree with it, is that you make the money when you buy the real estate. It doesn't matter if it's commercial, doesn't matter if it's residential. If you buy it at the right price, you're going to make money. And that is where, getting in contact with motivated sellers comes into play. Somebody who maybe has a neglected property, they don't want it. They don't want the headache of fixing it up. And you come in there, you give them the solution. Hey, I'll buy it. This is the market price. But you have to be able to contact them first. That's the hard part. That is the part that a lot of people struggle with. That's where you come in. So in everybody that you've worked with, all the clients that you've had, what is the biggest mistake that you've seen people make on their digital side when they're not working with you? What's the mistakes people have been making that you usually see in their marketing?
Oh, that's a deep question. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I think sometimes it's just people assume that just getting into digital marketing is always a good idea, and sometimes they even get what is expected from digital marketing, but they aren't happy with it. It's like, well, you probably should have figured that out before you did it to realize that it's not actually a good fit for you, or whatever the case is. So, I mean, we've seen all kinds of different stuff. I think a lot of it. So on the marketing side, I mean, we could talk about a whole bunch of stuff. I honestly don't know almost anybody who would disagree with me that you need a solid partner on the marketing side. And there's, the way that Google ads and Facebook ads, SEO works is there's 1,000 things to do right. And if you do one of them wrong, you waste a lot of money. So that's pretty basic. There is, however, like one of the other pieces of value that we add to our clients is helping them understand their business, how they can best monetize the leads. And that's where we've worked with a lot of people where they come to us and they just have absolutely atrocious results. And usually I have to have kind of the conversation with them that, yes, we could start working together now and turn this around. But if we're going to do the marketing better, doing the marketing better is going to improve things by 20% or 30% or 50% or whatever it is compared to where they were before. And then we look at that and we're like, what if this was 50% better? Would it work? And sometimes the answer is no. And then I kind of have to explain to them, you're going to have to meet me in the middle. You're going to have to do some of your side too. And that part also makes a pretty big impact. So there's a lot of it has to do with how you're dealing with leads. Like there's a bunch of different principles there. Getting the leads extremely quickly is important when you are doing this marketing to motivated sellers. Gold standard for us is like 60 seconds. And it sounds extremely fast.
Wow. I've never hit that.
Yeah. Well, and it depends on what kind of business you're in. Specifically for motivated sellers, let's just say someone's searching through Google, they find you. The thing is, these days, your competitors on Google are on their game for the most part. I know because they're often our clients, and we train them on these things, and we know how to kind of get to the top of the market. Let's just say a seller reaches out to someone else and then they reach out to you, which by the way is very, very common because you have an entire search engine results page full of wholesalers or flippers that you can reach out to buy your house. Maybe that company only has to call them within 2 minutes to get in contact with the seller before you get in touch with them within 60 seconds, right? And then you're going to be basically rationalizing this in your head, like, oh, this person doesn't answer their phone. They're not really that motivated, whatever the case is. And you're going to be really upset when you see that the property was bought for cash 2 days later by someone else. That's one of your competitors. So it's important to be quick, and it's important to build a rapport quickly. And that's where, if your competitors are really good at that, they'll beat you, because your competitor can get in touch with the seller, and if they can say the sweet things to that seller that make that seller think that nobody else in the world exists, nobody else matters, they're going to be their solution somehow, some way, which really good salespeople tend to do that, then the seller's not going to care about you anymore, because people emotionally make their decisions very quickly about who they're going to work with. And then they take some time to actually make that decision and rationally, put some logic behind it, but they make the emotional decision very, very quickly. So the point is, you got to get to the leads extremely quickly. And where we have clients going wrong is they just have like a VA calling the leads, and they're just like asking these questions like, what condition is the property in? Let's schedule you an appointment and stuff. And if you do that and then someone else digs into the situation and makes the seller feel more understood than you do, then that person's going to get the deal. You need to have someone qualified at the beginning, because it's a really important first conversation. And then beyond that, it really is just a factor of there's a few things, like people that we work with that are used to doing cold call and stuff like that. They're really used to like feeling sellers out on the phone based on price and stuff like that. With these kinds of leads, you just go on the appointment, show up at the house, and just talk to the seller. The motivation comes out at some point. And we've done exercises with our clients before where we'll look at the leads, and you'd be surprised how many of the leads are marked in their CRM as like better fit for a real estate agent or retail lead or whatever the case is. And then someone bought it for cash a week later. Yeah. Because you didn't really dig. And sometimes you have to be there. Like, negotiation is a skill. And you will get lay down deals where someone calls you and they just say, yeah, I want to sell my house for $100,000. And you know that house is worth $200,000. And then you just like show up, get it done. Right. That happens. Yeah. But if you're only taking those, you're taking a small percentage of the deals that are actually there. True negotiation skills are how you're going to get the rest of that and building rapport with sellers. So assuming that leads are motivated is a big piece of it. And then after that, it's just exit strategy. You want to be in a position where you can do the most with the leads. Sometimes our clients that, for example, only have wholesale as an exit strategy can struggle more, because you look at a property, you have to fit in that box or it doesn't work, versus another company given that same lead, if they have like creative finance options, maybe they have the ability to list it on the market. Maybe they have the ability to take it down themselves if they know it's a deal, but they can't find a cash buyer. Whatever the case is, you can then make more money per lead. And all that extra money that you can make per lead from having those other exit strategies really drives a lot of value to the bottom line, because it's pure profit on top of what you were going to do before. So anyways, those are like, I know I just kind of like fire hose a whole bunch of random stuff, but when we see people that have absolutely atrocious digital marketing results, usually it's more than just the marketing. Usually it's also the business and how they're dealing with the marketing and making sure that it's really well positioned for the business. Most often with our clients, we're meeting in the middle, make the marketing better, make their process better. Therefore, it all works. Sometimes their process is amazing. They just need better marketing. Sometimes the marketing's good and their process is horrible. So it's important to understand that there's those distinctions.
Yep. Well, yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Those, I mean, I like that you kind of broke it out into two things. People are either they're bad with their marketing, and then sometimes they're bad with, once they have the lead, their acquisition operations essentially. And I totally agree. If you don't do digital marketing on the regular, don't do it. Don't try to do it. Hire somebody like, the Bateman Collective, because I've done tons of digital marketing and I'm still not great at it. It's a hard skill to master. So I agree with you there. And then on the other side, on the operations side, so you're saying speed, connection, meaning connecting with the seller, and then having multiple exit strategies. That was kind of how, if I bucketed everything into buckets, that's kind of how I got it there. 60 seconds. I still cannot believe that. 60 seconds is ridiculous.
It's
I
fast,
sometimes
but
I'll call commercial guys like I guess commercial is different than residential, but I'll call them like the next day, and we still get deals.
yeah.
But damn, 60 seconds.
Well, commercial is completely different.
Yeah.
Because the way it works with motivated sellers is if they're actively going, it's also the type of lead. Like let's just say we're talking about a PPC lead. For those that aren't familiar, a PPC lead is basically, it stands for pay-per-click advertising. It's generally going to be through Google. Someone's searching for a way to sell their house fast on Google, and then they find you on Google. That's a search lead, which means that instead of you coming to the person or them demonstrating some type of intent other ways, they actually are actively searching, which means they actively have pain, which means they're usually ready to move fast. And not just that, it's a competitive environment because you're sitting there on the page right next to all of your competitors. And motivated sellers aren't like commercial companies. They're going to be much more emotional with their decisions. It's going to be basically whoever gets to them fast that has the best chance of making it happen. So like if you look at me and my business, yeah, I don't get to leads within 60 seconds. We're different. We're a B2B business. We have clients that come to us and they want to do their marketing. And if we don't pounce within 60 seconds, it's not like they're gone. Right. So that's different. But with motivated sellers, it's a different game. It's really the most important thing is just being faster than your competition. In a lot of markets, your competition is really good. So if your competition's all getting the leads within 3 days and you're 1 day, brilliant. And that's probably where you're at in your business right now. But if you're if you're in a competitive market and you're doing direct to seller marketing for motivated sellers, it's something like through a paid search channel or something like that. It can almost be guaranteed that your competition is really good at that. If they've spent on PPC for a long time and they're consistent with it, that's probably a big staple in their business.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's pretty interesting. So I mean, just on the digital side, there's a lot of different. I mean, you've talked about PPC, and there's also like Facebook ads, et cetera, et cetera. What form of digital marketing do you feel is most successful in the residential side?
So there's 3 that I really like. There's PPC, like pay-per-click through Google, Facebook ads, and organic on Google through SEO.
Yeah.
And all 3 of them kind of work in their own way. PPC is a favorite of a lot of our bigger clients because it has more scalability in it. There's a good amount that you can spend in a given market. It tends to be, for many of our clients, one of their highest cost per deal. Yeah, it's expensive, but the ROI can still be good because the deals are big. But that's where sometimes for beginner investors, PPC is biting off more than they can chew, because it's one of those things where if you look at it in the long term, it absolutely has a good return on investment, but that doesn't say how far you can get into the hole before you get a deal. So you really have to be ready to fork out a decent budget for something like 6 months to really get an idea of how it works and stuff like that.
I remember when I first tried PPC, I was doing residential. I don't know how many years ago, but I first tried it and I spent I think it was like $3,000 in PPC before I got the first deal. And that's still a good ROI. And I'm sure it's a lot more expensive now, but it's just like every day I saw that budget going up and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it can be nerve-wracking for some people. That's why we recommend you have your budget for 6 months set aside. You're just ready to go, ready to be consistent. You have to trust a proven process, and you most certainly do not want to do it without a proven process because the thing is, even when it's working, sometimes it's hard to tell at the very beginning, right? Because it's not like cold call where you just turn it on and just get flooded with leads immediately. It's not quite how it works. Right. It's a low number of leads, but it only takes 10 or 15 to get to a deal. So that's what people love about PPC is for many of our clients, it's their highest lead quality channel. They have leads that are ready to go quicker and they're generally higher quality. Their deals are bigger from those leads. And it doesn't take that many of them, which means the operational expense of PPC is really low. Like our clients that run businesses based on PPC as their primary marketing channel, they have a very high margin business, despite their cost per deal being higher than other businesses. And the reason is they don't have a bunch of operational expenses associated with it. So the marketing return on investment can actually be lower than other channels sometimes, but the bottom line profit for the business can be higher depending on how you do it. So that's why I think PPC is really popular. Facebook ads, I think, is a better fit often for someone just kind of a little bit earlier in their stages. It's not quite as scalable. You're not going to do 10 deals a month on Facebook ads or something like that, but it's an efficient channel and the leads are relatively cheap in comparison to PPC. Not as good, but they're the difference in cost is bigger than the difference in quality. So you have a little bit more stuff to work through, but you're kind of taking a step, not quite as inbound, a little bit more outbound on the type of marketing. Therefore, cost per deal is a little bit lower. So it's a good in between. And then SEO is my absolute favorite between the three. You get that same lead quality you do with PPC, even a little bit higher quality sometimes, and it's actually also cheap. But the downside is it takes a lot of time. So SEO is the longest ramp up of any of these marketing channels. You have to invest in it consistently for a long period of time before it starts to have an effect. When it does, if we look at our clients who have been with us for multiple years, it is almost without exception their highest ROI channel in their business. It's a really great investment long term.
That's why podcasts are so useful, is because you can turn the speech of the podcast into a blog post and you go right up.
Totally. And look at me being here on your podcast. Good chance you're going to link to my website. I'm going to have a backlink. That's going to help my website rank organically, right? That's a lot of stuff ties into SEO, right? Like that, there's value for me being here beyond other things, just in the sense that because I'm here, I might get someone searching for a company similar to ours that ends up finding us later, because your link from your website to my website gains authority on my website, makes it more likely for me to show up in the search. Someone searches, there I am, they find me. And
it's beautiful,
so difficult to track that all happens, but it that's SEO. So anyways, SEO, great return. But if we're like, let's just say you're looking at just Google, right? You have the SEO and then you have the PPC. You're going to get a better return from PPC if you're looking at like year one, for example. But usually year two, SEO is better, and then year three, it's much better, and then year four, it's much better. So it's one of those things that has a ramp up. But if I was investing in things long term in my business, like I would spend money on SEO before I'd like buy a rental property, hands down, because I don't put my down payment down on my rental property and expect that cash on cash I'm going to suddenly have all of my money back and then a good return on investment by the next month.
Yep.
But it's a place where you kind of have to put money and you expect it to kind of take a little while to compound. But that's the thing about SEO, it compounds. These other channels don't.
Perfect. So PPC, social, and SEO. SEO is the best for the long term. PPC is the best for the short term, and Facebook is the best when you're getting in kind of, newer marketers are getting into Facebook. That kind of makes sense to me. I took a peek at the clock. We did go through the 15-minute mark, so I do have to, divert a conversation here, but I've loved what you've shared so far. So are you ready for the quick question round?
I am. Let's do it.
Hell yeah. All right, here we go. It starts with books or any form of education. If you like YouTube, if you like podcasts, whatever, give me 2 recommendations, 1 for general life wisdom and 1 for real estate specific.
Ooh. So books or podcasts, like just any?
Yeah, whatever form of education content you like.
Ooh. So podcasts, I think one of the best in the industry is Real Estate Disruptors with Steve Trang. Not sure if you've seen that one, heard of that one. Really, Steve's a great interviewer. He's like the Joe Rogan of real estate. So
that's a high bar right there. I love it.
It's a high bar. Yeah. Let's see. In terms of general things outside of that, I just read a book named Multipliers.
Okay.
I don't know if you've read that. I think it's a really high quality book. It basically talks about leaders that are able to multiply the capabilities of those that are in their team to be able to get more out of a team. What's the difference between those people and people who actually diminish the value of their team and get less than what they're capable of doing? And I like it because a lot of management books I've read are all like, like the feel good manager stuff. This is like a pure data driven thing. Like they just analyzed outputs of teams and the management styles and found the correlations between those that have a higher output and those that don't, with no loyalty to like how nice they are or anything like that. And it kind of like paints a picture of like the leader that gets the most out of their team. What exactly do they look like? And specifically from the kind of employees that look back at their leader and say things like, I didn't know I had that much to give, or I didn't know I could accomplish those kinds of things. They got more than they thought that they were actually capable of doing. So anyways, I think that was a really great book. It really kind of changed my mindset on a lot of things.
Cool. Now that sounds like a good book. Actually, I'll have to pick it up. You said it was called Multipliers.
Yeah, multipliers.
Cool. All right. All right. Moving on. The next question is for your younger self. So if you could go back to the Brandon who, had no experience in digital marketing, he was just getting out of college. He was thinking, shit, I got to go get a job. Got to get some of these guys to give me some experience here. Go back to him, look him in the eye, give him one piece of advice moving forward.
I'd say focus. For a long time, I was doing work in a lot of different industries, and I never I heard this advice from so many people: just pick something and then get really good at it. And what never really sunk into me is that, I thought the more opportunities you're chasing, the greater chance that something's going to work out. And what I didn't realize is that if you have less opportunities, you can really apply your focus to make one thing work out. I thought it was more of the chances of the thing. And then my mindset kind of shifted over time that whatever your thing is, you can make that work out. You just have to really work at it. And yeah, I just didn't realize what that cost of focus was. And I didn't realize that there's a really big difference between getting a gold medal and a silver medal. Right. The person who's at the very, very top is a lot better than the person who's right behind them. And I guess the point being, if any of us in any circumstance in our life actually can get to the point that we're the absolute best in the world at one thing, we're lucky enough to be there. If you can do it with two things, then you're just so you don't even belong on this world. But the point there being, it's, I don't know anybody that chases two things and actually gets that gold medal strength. In either of those two. And when I dedicated my mind to just for motivated sellers for digital marketing, I'm going to build a company that is the absolute most effective at that exists in the entire world. That is when we got really, really good at that. And that's when we started to grow a lot as a company.
Perfect, man. Focus. I love that piece of advice. And that applies even when you're, if you're on the investment side and you're trying to decide what you should be investing in. It even applies to the niche that you're investing in. I used to be focused or not unfocused on my niche, and I would go after everything, mobile home parks, multifamily, self-storage, you name it. I went after it. Eventually I just kind of focused in on self-storage, and I got really good at talking with self-storage sellers, analyzing self-storage properties, making offers on self-storage. And the more you do that one thing, the better you get at it, just like Brandon said. So that's really good advice. I love that. And so let's move on. Next question. This one is habits that form the foundation of our life. So if you could point to one thing you do day in and day out that contributes the most to your overall health, well-being, happiness, and success, what would that be?
Recently, one thing that has really helped me, this is probably preached out pretty much everywhere. So maybe I'm just a lot of times we know everything that we need to know. We just don't actually do it. And I think that was probably me with this, but getting my morning under control was a huge piece of it. I now kind of have this time where I basically designate the day before, what is the most important thing that I need to get done tomorrow? And I make sure that at the beginning of the day I win, because I make sure it's something that's feasible to finish within that time. I do that before I check my email or my Slack or anything else. So the point is, nothing could derail me from doing that. And having that time set aside to do those things has compounded, because otherwise they seem to always get pushed off, and it's really hard to if you're whoever's listening, if you're somehow some perfect person that can just magically prioritize everything perfectly in your mind and deal with all the tendencies to be reactive all the time, then I guess you don't need to hear this, but that's not me. And I really benefited from just that time blocking to make sure that I'm spending sufficient time on different things and not just getting overly consumed with one portion of the business.
Yep. No, I love that. It reminds me, I tried to do the top 3 things I wanted to accomplish that day, but then I read that book, The One Thing by, I'm going to butcher this. It's like Gary Keller or something like that. I don't know, but it was The One Thing. I remember that.
Yeah.
And he just talks about just choose one thing that'll move your business forward and get that done every day. And that helps a lot it goes back to focus. If you can focus in on your niche, focus in on the one thing that you need to accomplish, you're going to see more progress than if you, tried to do everything at once.
Yeah. To give you an example of that real quick, just a little story. We got really busy. We took on a lot of clients. We've grown for 4 years, over 100% every single year.
That's killer.
And it's been insane. But I kept on getting more and more busy, spending all this time with clients, spending this time trying to manage the team, all this kind of stuff. And what we really needed was recruiting, because we needed to build the team, because that was our long-term fix. What ended up happening is I realized I'd go weeks and weeks without taking action on recruiting because I was so busy with this other stuff. And that's a really good example of just making sure that you're taking care of those things that are really important. Because when I started just like saying like, this is my hour for recruiting, I'm just going to do like everything I can in my power to make sure that we're pushing forward as fast as we possibly can in recruiting. That was our long-term fix. And what we were doing before was kind of like a death spiral. So it's anyways, just an example of like when that made a big impact for me.
Yep. It is so easy to get caught up in the fires that happen every single day in a business, and just lose track on the things that will kind of move the needle long term. I do that even today. I have a hard time focusing on the long term versus the short term, because short term ones, they pop up, they're in your face, they're like, I need to be solved right now, but they're not going to have the biggest long term effect. And that just goes back to the focus. That's the theme of this podcast today, is just focus in on one thing and get her done.
Yeah.
All right. That leads us to the very last question. You've given us plenty of good advice. I'm sure people want to reach out, talk about marketing, motivated sellers, all that jazz. So what is the best way for somebody to reach out and say hi?
So they can always go to our website, batemancollective.com. That's where, like, if someone has interest in working with us, you can kind of go through our discovery call process and meet with someone on my team. We can analyze your business and see, does it make sense for you to potentially work with us? So that would be potentially step one. And then if someone wants to reach out to me specifically, you could always reach out with my email. It's brandon@batemancollective.com. It seems like a ton of real estate investors are on Facebook. I never used it before I focused on this industry. So if you want to be one of my 1,000 real estate friends on Facebook, by all means, add me there. I wish I was a little bit more active on the platform, but that's the place you can find me too.
It's no worries, man. It's hard to be active on all 7 million platforms out there. So no judgment. Awesome. Yeah. Well, Brandon, thank you very much for hopping on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Gabe. Appreciate you.
All right. So for everybody who's here with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you have any questions whatsoever, reach out to me, Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. Other than that, I hope you have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed putting it on, and we're able to pull some actionable advice that you can apply in your own investing today in the field. Before you go, we have a gift for you. If you're a new investor looking to get started, or an established investor looking to take your investing to the next level, I've created an ebook just for you, available on our website. This ebook will cover how I was able to create both active and passive income in real estate with very little money to start with. In it, I will address the 3 most often cited obstacles new and veteran investors run into by showing you how to find deals that are actually deals, how to finance a deal with little to no money down, and how to exit those deals for maximum value. And if you get the ebook today, I am throwing in a bundle of bonuses, 7 of them to be exact. The first one will be the off-market lead generation blueprint, which will take you through the exact systems and processes we use to generate off-market leads like clockwork, which is the most important skill when it comes to creating wealth in real estate. The second bonus is the A to Z REI systems and vendors guide, which will allow you to peek under the hood of our business and see the exact tools, systems, and even the vendors we use to see the success that we do. And the third bonus is the top 100 best performing keywords pack, which will give you the exact keywords we use to target motivated sellers online using PPC ads. The fourth bonus is our contracts bundle for wholesaling and renting real estate, which will give you access to all the contracts we use in the field to execute all different types of transactions. After that is the Investors Quick Analysis Calculator and Offer Tool, which will allow you to quickly calculate whether a deal is an actual deal and will allow you to create an offer automatically from those calculations. This is a lot of bonuses that I said. I'm just going to keep going down the list. Number 6 is the Investors Daily Success Tracker, which is a tracker you can use to ensure you are taking the right actions day in and day out to reach your financial goals in real estate. And the last bonus is the Wholesalers Template for quick assignment cash, which will give you the templates we use to present our wholesale deals professionally and efficiently to our buyers. Whew, that is a bundle. So it's a mouthful. You get all of those bonuses for free when you download the ebook. All we charge is the admin cost to run the show. So if you're interested in the ebook and the bonus bundle, head on over to the website at therealestateinvestingclub.com. Click on Get the Ebook Bundle at the top of the page to take advantage of that deal. And with that said, I hope you have a fantastic day and even better week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.